Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. It's Monday. It is October the 21st, 2024. Do not adjust your screens. We did start an hour late because I'm only doing a mini show. And then I'm gonna start calling a normal 1 hour show is the mini show. And then like if it's like for some reason we only do like a 30-minute show, to be like and then just call it that. Because it's fun and I can do what I want. No, you know what? We were off the air last week, and part of it was Monday was a holiday, if I recall. So that happened. And then Tuesday, I just got busy being mom and doing things. No, I take that back. I was out of town. I'm just kidding. I wasn't being a mom last week. I was busy being out of town last week. And I was going to do some reruns and things like that. And it just didn't happen. And I got lost in time frames and things like that. And it is what it is. So I do apologize. I hope you missed me. I kind of missed you guys a little bit, but I also kind of enjoyed not having to worry about it. I'll be for real with you. It's kind of nice. I got some other stuff accomplished that needed to get done. And so, yeah, yay team on that. And then towards the end of the week, though, I did get to be mom. Charlotte wasn't feeling good. She was having some really bad allergy stuff happening. So that we got that all resolved. I think we finally got it all resolved. She seems to be on the upswing of that. Allergies are a fun thing if you have them, and just regular allergies. Like I'm not even talking about food allergies, just regular seasonal allergies. If you're a seasonal allergy sufferer, you know what I'm talking about. I know all last week and all weekend I've just been doing this. That could be another reason why I kind of didn't care, because all I've done is scratch my eyes for the last week. But anyway, it's good to be back. We have some fun things to talk about. I don't know where to begin because there's so many things, and some of them I have not been thrown. I guess technically not. I could have been. It could have been counted as a throne, but we're gonna not. I could have died though, just for the record. I could have died. Also, I'm a klutz, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. It happens. Today, Simon posted that today is National Throw Short People Day. And I believe the technical definition of short people is anyone under 5'4". And depending on the day, I'm 5'2" or 5'3". So it's not looking good for me. It's not, today is not a safe day for Sandra. So this is maybe more of like a check-in of life kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like proof of life video, because it's still early in the day. You never know. You never know what could happen. It's one of those days. Today is the first day of early voting in Texas. Boo. You guys know my opinion on early voting. If you have no other choice, if you're like going to be out of the state, if you are going to have some sort of major life surgery or something major that you know is happening, and you feel like you must not be able to vote on November 5th, then I guess do it now. We need you to vote, so vote. But vote on election day for the love of Pete. I think my sister told me, she's in North Carolina now. My sister told me 2 weeks ago that her husband went and voted. 2 weeks ago, he went and voted. So a lot of places all around the country are already doing early voting and have been for a while now. And that is not the American way. It's not okay. It's the convenience, lazy way. I made the statement when we saw it with the school calendar. They shut down our schools for election day this year in Laredo anyway, at least UISD did. I think LISD did also. And I think they called it a teacher work day, or they gave it another, a reason other than election day. But it's odd that they took that specific day off. And I'm glad that they did. That should be the new norm all across. And a lot of companies, I think, are starting to try and push that direction. I think they're trending that way to be off on election day so that people can vote. Go and stand in line on election day. If you can't stand all day, rent a wheelchair. Get one of those little or a cane that has a little chair on it, or bring a camping chair. I don't care. But Well, I wouldn't stand in the line and vote on election day. Go early, find that lull. Most places now, because we are lazy in our elections, are county-wide voting. So that gives you less excuses to not get out and vote. Precinct voting is always the safest voting, but that's not always available anymore. So, you know, and there's still time for you to be a poll watcher if that's something that you'd like to do. If you want to be involved, you can reach out to your favorite candidate, do the training. It's on the Secretary of State's website. And then you can be a poll watcher if that, you know, because here's the deal. I've told this story before during the 2020 elections. Had this lady come up to me. We were doing I don't want to say it was a rally, but we were doing a gathering point because people were bringing me affidavits to be able to turn in, which we did, about fraudulent stuff that happened to their votes, specifically to them, or that they've specifically witnessed. And she starts chewing me out. She had her affidavit, but she starts chewing me out that there wasn't any poll watchers. And I said, well, ma'am, did you do the required class to become a poll watcher? It's only like an hour or two. And she goes, well, no. And I said, well, did you volunteer? And she goes, well, no. And I said, well, neither did anybody else. There was no poll watchers because nobody volunteered. Volunteer. Be part of the solution. Be part of the solution. Everybody has a role. Not everybody is meant to be a poll watcher. Not everybody is meant to be an elections clerk. Some people are go and hold signs. I've been seeing pictures and I've been talking to people all weekend long, or have gotten word of people all weekend long. They were doing Trump trains, or they were doing, Laredo had a whole bunch of little pop-up flag waves and things like that over the last several days. I love it. I'm all about it. We need people to get people pumped up and get them out to vote. We need cheerleaders, but you can't just be cheerleaders. We have to have the field, right? So if you can be a part, reach out to your county. Look, you don't even have to be part of a party, right, to do this. You just have to be eligible to vote, and then you have to do it where in your county. So be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Mom did have a good excuse in 2020 on why she did not vote on election day. And it was because I was running in my race and she wanted to be with her daughter on election night. So that was nice. And she had all of her grandkids. And so it was great. That was much needed. That was a good excuse. That's true. And also, if you're going to be a cheerleader, please do not forget to wear your bloomers, especially guys. Nobody wants to see that. I mean, girls too, yes, especially guys. Nobody wants to see that nonsense. Now, one of the things that has happened in the last week, I don't even really know where to begin. This is a Laredo problem, but everyone should hear it, because for years, I have told you, whether it was here on Texas Fully Loaded, whether it was with Sandra for Texas, whether it was just in a random conversation, I have told you for years that the water quality is not what they claim that it is in Laredo. I've said those words. I've said this painstakingly. I've said this when they've come back and said, oh, no, see, our readings say that we're fine. No, it's not. I've been saying this for years. I've been saying that the water in Laredo is bad. It's not good. We don't drink that water. We shower in it. We sometimes cook with. I don't even use it all the time to cook with. Sometimes I use filtered water, and most of the times anymore, especially now that my refrigerator has a pitcher that it automatically refills into it. I don't think I ever use water, especially if we're cooking a soup or something like that. Like, I only use filtered water for my cooking purposes at home, for the most part. There's a few things, if I'm boiling pasta or something like that, if I'm boiling something, that's a different story. But if I'm cooking, I usually just use the filtered water, or if I'm, whatever, doesn't matter. We don't trust the water in Laredo. When you've been, and I've told you guys this, it's gross, when you have a foot of human feces worth of human feces up against the shoreline at any given time, and I physically have witnessed that. And then they say the water that you drink, that you get from that same water source, there's nothing wrong with it. Or we have a boil water notice because, oh, it's just precautionary. There's nothing to see here. I've never trusted it. I've always spoken out against it. I've always said we need to do better for South Texas, that our only source of drinking water is the Rio Grande. Laredo specifically has got more boil water notices than any other city that I know of along the river. In my time running for office, from at least Laredo all the way down to Mission, and I'll include McAllen because I did quite a bit then during the 2020 cycle. Laredo was still the one that was always under a boil water notice. Well, this last week, we've had a boil water notice for over 7 days for the city at large. And in fact, there is still, for the central and southern part of Laredo, there is still a boil water notice. Now, this started a little over a week ago, as I mentioned, and they claimed that there may be E. coli in the water. That's not something you want to hear. It's not something that's good, just so that we're all clear. Even if you want to lose a couple pounds quickly, still not good. Still not a good thing. So the city of Laredo started these boil water notice bans, boil water notices. They started this one was different than most of them, and maybe I'm wrong, but they went over and above making sure that people had water when they've had this boil water notice. I don't recall them doing this much before in terms of making sure people had bottled water. They were distribution section things all over the city to make sure that people had access to clean water to be able to drink and eat with, and all of those things, brush your teeth with, all that kind of stuff. At one point, and I'm going to preface this with, I read it, I talked about it with the other people, but I didn't save it. So with that being said, I don't have proof, but I read this and I spoke with other people in Laredo about this. One of our council members, Albert Torres, is who I read, was saying at the very beginning of this that it might not be legit, that it could be a hoax because they don't know where the source of this information came from. I have not been able to find that since I talked about it and said, I need to put this information out. Number one. So if he didn't say that, I apologize, but I'm telling you what I read online from a news source. Part one, and it wasn't Gordy Loca, just so we're all clear on this. Number two, they immediately came out the gun saying that TECQ was super impressed with the city's water department and that everything is, we're state of the art, and slapping everybody on the back, and they don't understand where this is coming from, and kudos, kudos, kudos. And then they said, but we're going to stick around for a few days and keep on testing. So they did. And guess what happened? They kept finding more and more and more and more and more problems. Weird. Their biggest problem, even though E. coli was found in a few locations, the biggest problem that they found was high bacteria levels in the water. High bacteria levels in the water. Now, if you've watched me at all in the last almost 6 years, almost 6 years, you know that I've been saying that their water's nasty. I don't drink it. It smells bad all the time. There's always weird chlorine levels in it. There's this, there's that. We just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't drink the water. It's like going to Mexico. Don't drink the water. And everyone kept saying, oh, well, TECQ. Well, not everyone. Let me rephrase that. The water department kept saying the water's fine. We have great water level. Our reports always come back perfectly. I've been saying I think they just reused them. I don't have any proof of that, but that's just been my personal opinion. Then you find out through TECQ and I guess other outsources that were coming into the city, a city of over 250,000 people. Keep that in mind. We're pushing closer to 500,000. A city this large ended up having over 200 illegal water connections. Over 200 illegal water connections, which they believe is causing the high bacteria levels in the water in the city of Laredo. That's not good, SA. That's not good. The city of Laredo is one of the highest cities in the state for their water bill, by the way. And P.S., we just had a rate increase, I believe, October 1st. We have a serious problem in one of the largest cities in the state, one of the fastest growing cities in the state, the gateway city to America, the #1 trade port in the United States, and now they're going to have to push through with an $800 million water project that they're going to have to streamline because they have to replace all of the pipes in the city because most of them are over 50 years old. People have been fired. That's great. Hooray. Some people have resigned. Hooray. Good for them. This is not an overnight problem. This is a problem that has existed for a long time and has been a long time cover-up. Let me say that again. This problem, this water crisis problem in the city of Laredo, Texas, has been a long time coming, has been covered up for a long time because of somebody who was inadequate in their position, in their cushy job in the good old boy system. Here's several problems. And I don't know where the right side of this problem is anymore because we find corruption rampant in basic life necessities. Food, water, healthcare, air. Those are things that have become such a political hinge point that you don't know where to trust anymore. Something that is a basic human necessity you cannot rely on in the United States of America. People are comparing now the water crisis in Laredo to that of Flint, Michigan. And I'm not going to tell you that they're wrong. There was no, at the beginning, consistency and where the test sites were popping positive. One time it was positive, the next time it wasn't. Then another place, then here over there. One of the bacteria places was near my home. But they think that that one was just, it was just an illegal water connection. We can fix that. So then they had to turn around and yesterday and today, they've asked all the citizens because they've been trying to weed things through on their end and flush the pipes on their end. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to be a water utilities director, so I'm just going to tell you repeat what I hear. Repeat what they put out. They're going to flush all the lines so that they can push through all the bacteria and everything will be hunky-dory. Okay? But here's what they wanted us to do, what we had to do. Every household had to turn on every faucet, indoors and outdoors, at the full capacity for 10 to 15 minutes during their designated days and hours. They broke it up into sections. And people are outraged, as they have every single right to be. Now, here's what I will tell you. The mayor of Laredo, this is his first term. Look, we can talk about politics until we're blue in the face. We can talk about COVID-19, which I think that he was on the wrong side of for a lot of things. He's the reason that we had such extreme lockdown measures in Laredo. And I get it. People don't want to wash their hands. They enjoy eating their boogers. I don't know what the deal is. But we had a higher rate than most of the state of Texas for people getting COVID. We talked about that. Deadly rates of COVID, by the way. But I think their lockdown measures didn't do any good. I think, in fact, it made it worse, but that's my personal opinion. But what Dr. Trevino has done for the city of Laredo in issues that have been long-term, such as this water one, he doesn't play around with it, and he's literally kicking butt and taking names later. Because these are people in positions that have been there for a long time. Now, Laredo's water is ran through our city. Some cities have private sources for their water. Laredo does not, where ours is all through the city. It's one-stop shopping, which is why they can continue to do these ridiculous rate and price increases with no repercussion. So people got to brush their teeth. People need to drink. People got to go potty. People need showers. Oh, P.S. if you don't have water, we'll take your kids, right? There is value, America, in competition. Specifically, in healthy competition, which is something that Laredo has not figured out yet. But it is something that Dr. Trevino is bringing to the table. I'm going to pull up here really quick if I can. I mean, I can do whatever I want. It's my show, right? We're going to, I want to show you some of the stuff that the city has been very good at putting out information. I will give them this. The city has done a really great job, and I'm just blindly putting this up here just as an FYI. They've done a really good job at putting out information. A lot of people are complaining, and I don't blame them for complaining, but we actually have a mayor who is doing something and not just being status quo. That's ginormous. It's huge. They're giving, we were able to, I don't know why it took so many days. It should have happened sooner than later, but they had to get the governor to declare a state of emergency so that the city could then go after emergency funds to try and pay for this problem that we have. I know Henry Cuellar has been very involved in making sure that they're getting these funds and trying to push everything through. There's going to be a city council meeting that starts in about 40-ish minutes, about 35 minutes or so. So I hope that you can watch it, especially if you're from Laredo. I know I will be. Some of the agenda items on the city council meeting, see if I can find it here. I read it this morning. I don't know why I can't find it now. See, they've been really good at putting these, but this one kind of made me a little bit angry. And this goes to speak to the ignorance of people. P.S. It's election season. Know who the hell you're voting for. Rule number one. Rule number two, if you live in a city, you live in a district. If you live in a county, you live in a district. If you live in a state, you live in districts. You're districted. You are districted. Please know where the hell you live. So the city puts out this, before they put out this interactive map, I have to talk about this for a minute. Before they put out this interactive map, they put this little thing up, right? And it says we have 8 districts in Laredo, and they broke it down to when these districts were going to be flushing their pipes, right? The number of comments that I read with people going, how are we supposed to know what district we live in? Can't you tell us what streets you're going to do this by? No, they cannot. You have to take some ownership of knowing where the hell you live. Period. You have to take ownership of knowing where you live. Now, the other thing that I have seen, and typically, I would tell you that it's doing too much. It's doing too much. Typically, people say, or I would say, vote them all out of office. I would. I really would. Because this is a city problem. Yes. Hard stop. The bigger problem is, and this is where I is not just the city council members in this. Now, there's a lot of city council members that I can't stand, just as an FYI. Vanessa is not one of them. She's fantastic. She has my vote. She has my support. She goes above and beyond. Love her to death. Vote Vanessa Pettis. Here's the problem. There's this really bad situation where you can't get information, even as an elected official, from the departments because of the good old boy system, of the I don't have to answer to you system. If you've been following any of the stuff, if you follow any of the hearings in Congress, you see the same thing happening. Congressmen and women are asking for answers from departments that they are 100% funding under the federal government, and they don't get answers. Do you know why? I don't have to tell you. That's classified. Now, whoever is in this water department in Laredo, those are the heads that need to roll. Now, I did see that they were going to be putting in an interim water director for 6 months. This is one of the things that's going to be voted on today, discussed and presumably voted on today. For 6 months, are you ready? A 6 month interim water director for the city of Laredo with their salary to not exceed $200,000. I'm sorry, come again. What did you just say out loud, Sandra Whitten? The city of Laredo is going to vote on an interim water director for 6 months with a salary for 6 months to not exceed $200,000. Let me tell you what, I'm the top water expert in the city of Laredo right now. I'll start today. Okay, that's where I stop. I'm not qualified, but I will get qualified. I'll be qualified by the time I get my happy butt back to Laredo. Because clearly the people who were qualified to do the job didn't give a damn about the job and weren't doing it. And that's why we have between 250,000 and 500,000 people that have not had reliable water for a week when we know it's been longer. There is a picture that has been floating around the interwebs in Laredo specifically. But if you're not in Laredo, you wouldn't have seen it, so I'm going to show it to you. When my kids saw it, they were so excited that they had to stop and get a picture with this, by the way. I would love to tell you it's the big wolf that they wanted the picture with. No. It's the skeleton throwing up ooze into a bucket that says Laredo water. Children realize how gross Laredo water is. My kids won't even touch Laredo water to drink. I'm not picky about things. I'm not. I'm actually a very go with the flow person. Water is something I'm incredibly picky about. I can taste water. I can taste ice cubes. Like I know it's a quirky thing. It's a quirky thing. I can smell the Laredo water and cannot drink it. I go into restaurants, and if they don't have bottled water, then I have to get mineral water. I can do tea because they have to, the tea is cooked as it's coming through, right? But I can't drink tap water. Most restaurants, I cannot drink tap water. I ask if they have a whole restaurant filtration system before I'll drink it. Yeah, I'm that person. There's a reason I'm that person. You should also be that person. Walter is not that person, drives me crazy. I'm like, you're gonna die from something one day. Probably E. coli. But here's the real conversation from it. We have got to be picky about these things. Now, I have to tell you some fun news about this whole situation that's happened. So we have a budding mom and pop culture in Laredo. We don't have a big mom and pop culture in Laredo because they cannot survive, because Laredo is, for as big of a city as we are and for as many opportunities as we should have, Laredo is drawn to big boxes. We're very much a big box culture in Laredo. They don't like homemade restaurants. There's a few that are trying, but if it's not a national chain, it doesn't typically do well in Laredo, unfortunately, and that's real talk. It just is. It doesn't matter if it's food, it doesn't matter if it's a clothing store, or it doesn't matter what it is. Typically, if it's not a big chain store or a national brand, it doesn't do well in Laredo. Well, when this all happened, I thought, you know what, I had to go pick up something from the grocery store. I think we needed milk or something. So I ran out to go to the grocery store, get milk. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get some donuts. My kids love donuts. I don't know how to make donuts. I could probably learn. And P.S. I am, but that's not the point. Figured, why not? Let's go and get some, I'll just go pick up some donuts. Get some fun little Halloween ones, right? Everybody's been advertising their Halloween donuts. I went to 2 major chains, because we don't have a little mom and pop donut shop in Texas, in Laredo. We have like the sweetbreads, the conchas, but we don't have like a real drive down the road donut shop, okay? So I ended up finally, Shipley's was the only one, and Shipley's is, the Shipley's we have in Laredo is attached to a gas station. They were the only ones that were still open. All the national chain ones had shut down. Coffee/donut shops. All the Starbucks in town were shut down. The 7 Brews, Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts, all of them were shut down. So then an article came out. This was so exciting. I love this. Simon, you're gonna scream. You're gonna love this article. Are you ready? An article comes out and it said, one population is thriving with this water shortage, or this water crisis in Laredo. Guess who it was? Just guess. The mom and pop coffee shops. Now, most of the mom and pop coffee shops in Laredo are like the little food truck ones, or they were only opened on the weekends. Because their business exploded, they started being open more. People were trying new coffee places that they'd never tried before because they couldn't go to Starbucks, they couldn't go to 7 Brew, they couldn't go to Dunkin' Donuts. And do you know why the mom and pop places were able to be open? Because they had good whole filtration systems, or they already used bottled water. Now, I quit drinking coffee out. I did that a couple of years ago. Part of it is because I don't have money to go and spend at coffee shops anymore. But one of the conscious things that I try to do, and have started doing since I ran for office specifically, was to not go to the mainstream places anymore when I do go and get a cup of coffee. Why? Because small businesses. Laredo doesn't have that small business culture. They're trying. There's so many people that are trying. But until the masses get out their heads out of their asses, I'm praying that this information gets heard, amplified in Laredo. It wasn't the big boxes that saved you. It was the mom and pops. Your $7 cup of coffee that you buy every single day, that you feed a national brand every single day, they failed you. But that mom and dad business, that girl who just quit everything to pursue her dream, she had your coffee. Remember that next week. Remember that at the end of this week. Remember that when all these little big chain stores start opening back up, to never step foot in them again. Quit shopping at these big brands. When you travel, don't look for a Starbucks. Find a mom and pop place. Find a coffee shop that's, look, I know the coffee is different. I do. It does take a little bit to get used to. But guess what? Typically, it's organic. Typically, it's not made with all those big cartilage and all that crap fillers that we talk about all the time. They're more pure ingredients. You got to get your body used to not having the crap ingredients and get back to getting good ingredients. And then you'll start realizing, hey, these mom and pop places, that's where it's at. You know what? It does taste a little bit different. They do make their pumpkin spice a little bit different. But I can get used to that. Please, please, please quit shopping at these big box stores, restaurants specifically, especially coffee shops. Please, please, please shop local. The world will be so much better when we remember that it's the mom and pop not franchises that make the world go round. This is a true story. As some of you know, I desperately want to have a bakery. I want to have a little cafe, a little shop. I cannot do that in Laredo because the culture is not prepared for it. But do you know where the culture is prepared for it? In the little pass-through towns. And here's the problem. When you have a town, and I'm going to pick on Lytle for a second. When you have a town like Lytle or Rio Grande City, who all of a sudden is expanding, look at all the expansion that's happening. Guess what you're not seeing? You're not seeing the expansion of the small businesses. You're seeing the expansion of the franchise businesses. Rio Grande City specifically, I was down there last week. I didn't know where I was, for starters. There were restaurants on 83 in Rio Grande City that are not even in Laredo. National brand restaurants. And every single one of them had a line. Every single one of them had a line. But you know what I didn't see? I didn't see new mom and pop places. This is why it matters. This is why it matters. The big box places, they weren't doing it right the whole time. They were literally giving you crap water. And I'm picking on Laredo, but I guarantee you I can walk into any city and the story would be the same. Why? Because I got to answer to corporate. Corporate says shut it down. Boil water notice, just shut it down. Now here's where it gets real fun. Are you ready? Now, as excited as you just were, Simon, I'm probably going to make you angry again, so I'm sorry. So on the agenda for the city council meeting in 20 minutes in Laredo is they're going to talk about compensating bills on the water bills for citizens. Okay, maybe giving a little credit there, especially for the purging of the pipes today and yesterday. That's great. For the water that has been consumed during this thing, I assume. I don't know how they're going to figure this all out, but they're talking about doing a credit compensation on people's water bill for the minimum this purge water purge today and yesterday. But they're also going to see about compensating the businesses that had to shut down due to the boil water notice, or the businesses that had a loss of revenue during this water shortage. What businesses are we talking about? All the box brands? Because the mom and pop places were still open. I'm interested to see. Now, if you have a mom and pop place and you didn't have a whole water filtration system, that could be a different story. But if we're looking at compensating the big brands, it's not okay. That is absolutely not okay. Because the big brands are already not serving you quality. And here's the deal. There is, even with the filtration system, they were still telling you to boil your water. Because they're probably just assuming that it's just your water filtration system in your refrigerator. And they don't know what level of a filtration system that you have. There are filtration systems that are out there that completely clean up all of that water before it gets to where you consume it. And at our house, we talked about it, and I said, we talked about these for years and we've never gotten one. And the conversation back is, well, yeah, but they're still saying that you needed to boil your water and this, that, and third. Yes, but these companies said that they fight, they clean the water of all of these things. Like I'm not in the water consumption business. But I can promise you this right now, if I certainly was, honey child, you would know about it. This is not just local to Laredo. Let me say this one more time. Water is not just local to Laredo. We have a serious water problem nationwide. We have a serious water problem, Texas, and New Mexico, and Arizona, and California. We have dumb water practices on our city and state level that is causing a further damaging of these problems. Do you know why? Because we're relying on the government to take care of these problems, and they're not taking care of them. The government is never here for you. Private entities are 9 times out of 10 more qualified and better equipped and can do it cheaper than the government, whether it's the city government, the county government, or the federal government, or the state government. It doesn't matter. Do you know why? Because private entities understand the word competition. They know that they have to have a better product. They know that they have to have better results, and they know that they have to make it affordable or you won't come there. The city, the state, the country, they don't. They monopolize off of the fact that there is no other source. They monopolize off of the fact that they can continue this good old boy system. And I'm proud that Victor Trevino is cleaning house on this matter. But what about signs? What about, who was the one before signs? Raul. What about? Why did this problem keep building and mounting? Because there was no other eyes. There was nobody coming in with common sense. In 2022, I testified in Laredo at a city council meeting specifically on the pipes. Specifically how we keep wasting money on the same damn tests instead of doing something with what we know. We know these problems need to be fixed, but let's spend more money on testing instead of spending that money on fixing the problem. That's the problem with government entities. That's the problem whether it's a water company. That's the problem whether it's the federal the Border Patrol, your schools. It doesn't matter. We have to make sure we, the people, are doing the work, not we, the government. I say this all the time. The most qualified people to run government is a bunch of housewives. It's not the men in the room. Sorry, guys. It's the women who are used to bargain shopping. It's the women who do the research to make sure that this is the best quality because my family still has to consume this. People are trying to knock people who have been housewives who run for office because, oh, they're not qualified. They've never had a job. Really? Really? I think people forget or refuse to acknowledge the quality of what a homemaker does. It's not just making cookies. Oh, I'm pretty good. It's not just wiping snotty noses. It's not just singing Barney on repeat. Well, it's not Barney anymore, Bluey, whatever. Cocomelon. Because when those kids get out of that phase, there's still more phases. There's still more things that are happening. It's not just going to the bridge club. It is making sure that the water in the house is good. It is making sure that the pipes are up to code. It is making sure that all the breakers in the house. Most women who are at home, most homemakers who are at home, know how to do these things. I'm one of them. I know how to get my hands dirty. I know how to fix plumbing. Now, I'm not a plumber. I got a toilet that I can't focus on long enough to fix. My son's been trying to fix it. But I've replaced toilets before. I've replaced pipes under the sink. Growing up, I had to crawl under the house with my dad. We understand the words maintenance, not wait till it breaks-ness. Because something else might come up that seems more fun. We got to do better. Whether it's Laredo, whether it's Austin, whether it's Washington, D.C., we have to do better. We have to have better accountability. It's not just the elected officials that need the accountability. It's the bureaucrats. Bureaucrats kill this nation way faster than a politician does. Guess what a city-ran water department is? Bureaucrats. Guess what the Department of Homeland Security director is? They're not an elected official. They're a bureaucrat. And guess what? There's no accountability for bureaucrats. Bureaucrat is an absolute, it is the worst not four-letter word on the planet. Call me a politician all day long. Never call me a bureaucrat. I'm just kidding. Don't call me a politician either. I'll punch in the nose. It's frustrating. Bureaucrats need far more accountability. These salaries for city managers, for water department managers, for all of these things, only to have nothing but failures. Something's got to give. I don't care that they're a really nice guy. I know a lot of really nice guys. But if they're not cutting it, then it's time to cut them. Not like with a knife from the team. Just because they're a nice guy, just because they're a well-intended guy, if they're not doing their part, it's time to go. Because my family is suffering from their decisions, their lack of decisions, their lack of forward work, their just wait until it's destroyed before we fix it. We can't have any more of that. So you're absolutely right. I want to change gears. We only have a couple minutes left. I want to change gears just a little bit since you said come on, the other bad 4-letter word that's not 4 letters. So this weekend, I guess she was at a rally. And I'm trying to get a pure hear of it, like a pure listen. Originally, I was under the understanding that it was off screen in terms of like it wasn't during the rally that it happened. But then I was trying to find clips, and then I found this one. Let me see if I can. Let me see if y'all can help me with this because it doesn't sound clear to me. Now, I'm not going to deny what was said anywhere, by the way. But what I am going to say is I don't understand, like I need better context, and I'm still searching this out, but I'm going to take this at face value, okay? She was at a rally, and they were talking about Roe versus Wade, and somebody yells out, Christ is king or something like that. Now, I can't hear that in the clip that I've listened to multiple times. And she responds with, oh, you're at the wrong rally, implying that it was just a heckler at her rally. And now that could have been. It could have been a heckler that was at her rally. I'm not going to deny that. But here's the worst part. Why did she feel the need to say that? Regardless if it was a heckler or not. If I was voting Democrat, she would have lost my vote there. There's too many people, and I saw some TikTok videos or reels or whatever the hell they are. The videos. I saw a video this weekend, and he said, listen, I don't care who you vote for, but if you're a Christian and you still vote for her, no. Again, they're trying to just say it was a heckler in the crowd. Maybe she didn't hear him say that. Maybe she thought she heard something else. I don't know, but she heard enough to respond with, oh, you're at the wrong rally. No, you can't even be a half-assed Christian and support her. I don't see how you can. I don't see how you can even just be a Sunday morning Christian and still support her. Let me make this clear. I can disagree with a lot of people on a lot of things. I can even agree to disagree on a lot of things. But if I had somebody who's been telling me about how important her faith is, oh, her faith, and then somebody yells out, Christ is king, and she says, oh, you're at the wrong rally, she ain't got no faith in Jesus. Now, in fairness, she ain't said that she's had faith in Jesus. But even, let's just play this game for a second and say she's not a Christian. Let's say she ain't got no faith. Let's say all of those things, okay? Let's just stir that pot for 1 second. I tell people all the time, it's not my place to say what their faith is. The fact that she said that to a potential voter, let's just play the straight politic game for 1 second. I took a lot of heat. You know why I took a lot of heat? Because I made sure that people who did not align with me spiritually still had a seat at my table because I needed to hear what they had to say. I had people that I know for a fact that worship Satan holding my signs and making sure that people got out and vote for me. And I never one time told them they did not belong. Here's why. Number one, as a Christian, as somebody who loves Jesus, I understand that my job is to bring them in. And I pray that maybe something I said, something that I did, something that they saw in me at one moment in their life will make them think, maybe that Jesus guy's not so bad after all. Maybe I should do a little research on him. But as somebody, so that's Jesus, that's the Jesus angle, right? But as somebody who's running to be an elected politician, I'm supposed to be their voice for everyone. And with that being said, they all are supposed to have a seat at my table, and I'm supposed to hear with them out. There are so many different ways she could have handled that. Then the moment and after the moment. And yet again, they have all fallen very short of how she should have handled that situation. She could have said, maybe I didn't hear what they actually had to say. Maybe she could have been like, they were causing problems and this, that, and the third, and I knew, X, Y, and Z. She could have even said, I agree, but I still think that you're in the wrong place. Because she claims she went to private school. I think she claims at one point that she's never said out loud that I can tell that she was a Christian. I do know that her husband is Jewish and he does at least practice the Jewish holidays, at least the big ones. And she talks about celebrating Christmas. I know there's a lot of secular people that celebrate Christmas and they don't pay any attention to a baby in a manger. I get you. I do. Thank you. Thank you, Simon. But if you're going out to vote today and you're still on the fence, you're going to end it right now. Do not vote for Kamala Harris if you claim you know who Jesus is. Because she just showed us all everything she's told you is a lie. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, y'all.